showtime.
Dynamite download.
Dynamite download, your home for all positive coverage with all elite wrestling.
Told you guys, positive energy.
This reality, like, it is me. Like,
who let this guy in here?
This is what pro wrestling's supposed to feel like.
I'm saying I have a better record than Kenny Omega and Samoa Joe, and now I'm going to have to wrestle them.
I've never seen someone able to break down like wrestling like he does.
I said, Mariah May said who?
Because I'm so driven, and I'm so moved to like what I want to do.
The versus Brian Keith match. It's awesome.
Oh, it's so cool. You got like these creepy ass dudes.
Oldest ride, longest line.
I was like deep diving into like cults.
My real story does connect with a lot of people.
I never say never about anything.
Yeah.
Back to do an interview with those guys. You know why? Because they spread positivity about AEW.
Welcome to Dynamite Download.
Oh my goodness.
Oh yeah. Welcome to Dynamite Download. And you know that the season's coming around again. And I realize that I don't have any cream with me because all the cream rose to the top. Just like a mine runner rose to the top in the double or nothing extravagant draft. And now we're going to go to all in and all out, and we're going to go all summer, and I'm going to slam the summer just like I did before and again, because I realize that I am the mind runner, man. I am the top of the cream of the crop, and this is my crown. It's the Dynamite crown, and it is a Dynamite crown that I have on my head. So I am going to once again extend my reign.
Is that 24 karat gold there?
Oh, you know it. It's more like honey mustard. But
no, that's awesome. Caught me for a surprise. I was looking at something, then I show up and I see you with that crown. The honeymoon is almost over there, Mind Runner. So read it in effing weep there. I know as the inaugural champ of our draft, as what we have, folks. First off, welcome everybody to Dynamite Download episode 130. Thank you for joining us. And Mind Runner is talking all this smack, but we have some breaking news if you don't already know. Our Dynamite Download draft season 3 already coming up is tomorrow evening. Tomorrow night, Friday night flights and fights. The draft season 3. We're going to go live. We're going to see who's going to be the new champion of season 3. I might be the first ever 2-time champ here. So we're going to be running it back. Season 3 of the draft, which is going to kick off tomorrow. Points are going to go live immediately starting at Collision and then all the way through All Out in Chicago.
SPD, you must be drinking from the crazy milkshake machine, because this is not going to be a prophecy of back-to-backs for you. It's going to be the extended reign of the Monarch of Madness, because I'm going to make my picks even if Orange Cassidy doesn't wrestle the entire summer. I'm still walking away with the number 1,
Speaking of that, Sir Mind Runner.
Hold on a second. Heavy is the crown. I'm going to put this down. Heavy is the crown. I don't
Heavy
think
is the head that wears the crown.
I can't do the whole show with that on.
You'll need some hot water or tea or something.
It is not a Burger King crown. This is a Dynamite Download. It's a
Have it your way crown.
Have it your way. Dynamite Download. You can see by the insignia, it is definitely a Dynamite Download crown.
Exactly.
You can see all of no jewels on it yet, but that's to come.
You're going to become the Thanos and collect each season, put a victory there. So It's going to be short-lived. You're not going to get any more of those, so don't worry about that.
Okay.
I need some kind of SPD accolade on mine, but I got the championship belt, for sure. But Dynamite Download Draft Season 3 kicks off tomorrow. A a lot's changed as we started to wrap up season 2. Now, for those of you tuning in who are going to be part of our draft, we are going to do a live reveal of the draft order. We'll post that. I think we did it an hour before, or was it 30 minutes before? We'll talk about it, but it'll be before we go live. So about 9:30, we'll post on our social channels the order of the draft, and then we'll go live at 10, even though we do know Rampage is on at 10. But, that is Dynamite Downloads, Friday Night Flights and Fights. We've established that time slot early on. So we can have it in the background. We can take a little, mid-draft break and watch a little bit of a match, talk a little bit about that if we want to do that. But tomorrow night, 10 p.m., we're going live, draft season 3, baby. Now, if you were to get I personally picked a few of my repeats. Now, who on your team do you think you want back again?
Well, I got to go with my lucky charm. I mean, the tribal
I hope someone
fruit.
just picks him. I hope someone, because I'm sure I'm not picking him. I hope someone picks him just out of spite.
I will say this, with this new storyline he's got going on with Stat and Trent, and we'll talk about that. I don't know if he's going to get as many dubs as before. I really like the FTR. Yeah, they really hooked me up on some of their wins, even though having both of them. But there's some new talent. I mean, there's been some injuries. There's some new talent returning. It's going to be interesting. Again, do I go with an MJF? Do I go with some of these other guys returning? Ray Phoenix.
Hey, that was my guy.
We're going to talk about next Wednesday.
Oh my gosh.
But yeah, I think that I don't know. I've got to go with my tribal fruit, and I think FTR. But again, there's some new prospects I've got my eyes on. And one of the things you got to pay attention to is who's earning points for everybody. Courtney won the collision division for some of her picks that I don't know, depending on if she gets ahead of me, she might be get ahead. And then Bobby with Kyle O'Reilly, Danny Garcia, I think
sleeper picks.
He had some sleeper picks that really moved him up the ranks. So
little too late, but I mean, man, if there was a longer season, I think he could have started creeping up.
Yeah, but now everybody starts at 0. It's an even race, and we're going to see what happens. And my understanding is there's no leftover taker this time. It's pure. Everyone's starting out the same. Even if somebody can't make it, we're going to work something out. It's going to be good.
Right. Exactly. Sounds good. So can't wait for if you guys want to be a part of it next season or even this season. We might have some late additions. We'll see, but you got to send us a message ASAP. But join us. It's a lot of fun in the draft because, it's live and we get 60 seconds per pick and we're picking off our cuff. I mean, we have our wish list, but man, things change quickly. If I'm picking first overall, my next pick is not till 16th overall. So that's a huge gap of superstars going from 1 to 16. So
when you're doing a snake draft, you almost want that middle spot. I think Courtney had the last spot, or was it Courtney had it last time because she got to double pick, because you can pick up a tag team right away
every time almost.
And I think you and myself and Cray and FTD, we were sniping each other's tag teams. Like one of you would pick Matthew Jackson, I would go for Nicholas. And it's going to be interesting to see how that pans out. Of course, Courtney, she's not going to give us anything. She's playing her cards close to her chest, but she's going to. I have a feeling she's coming for our crown this time. And the Raz in the chat, day one are over here.
Man, thank you so much. Down since day one.
Day one.
Exactly. Man, thank you for the support always. Love having you in the chat. And Cray is on his maternity leave right now. He had his second baby. I don't know if I announced that on the show last week, but maternity leave right now. He's hopefully going to be able to be joining us live for the draft. But if not, he's going to be texting in or chatting in to be a part of that. So thank you for the support, BR. We appreciate it. And everyone else here in the support. But let's dive into Dynamite. I mean, ahead of time, there wasn't too much announced. No. As you can see, like this isn't your typical graphics card for a show to hype up a show. But we know in typical AEW fashion, there's a lot more at stake. And, TK was very active on social, gave us, some surprise matches that really delivered some, interesting development of storylines. But, you know, I got to say, one of my favorite moments of the night, and I'm looking for it. Hold on, hold your horses. My favorite thing of the night that I think was, if you saw us on Twitter, I posted, SPD posted that MVP of the night was the learning tree himself, Chris Jericho.
Yes.
Chris Jericho himself, man, MVP of Dynamite. This guy was just hilarious, and just he took his character to next level last night, and I'm absolutely just eating it up for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Man, the cheesiness, the smile, what he was doing with everyone, from everything to catering to the camera to private party being public party, and all, like the advice is unshakable. You know, you're not going to be shaking that tree. It is a solid foundation. But man, what did you think of this whole saga throughout the whole episode of Dynamite?
Well, you know, SBD, I'm glad you brought this up. You know, I have been in broadcasting for several years. You know, Full Tilt Deb and I used to host Reality Check Radio. I even had Mind Jack Radio. But you've got to, the biggest thing you've got to do is appreciate someone that's been in the business for as long as Christopher Jericho has. And that's why I really love this segment, because it was not only a very feel-good, wholesome segment, the string of segments, but it was also very enlightening. I mean, it was almost like it's its own TED Talk. We had the veteran Christopher Jericho walking around giving his free advice. We normally would take a speaking fee for these moments. And of course, his entourage, his Padawan learner, if you will, Big Redwood, you know, Big Bill himself, Large William, was definitely also imparting his own wisdom. And then, of course, the enforcer of respect himself, the bounty hunter, a.k.a. the Bad Apple, Brian Keith. I think the dynamic of this trio is really elevating AEW. And, of course, you know, when you've been in the business and you've seen things as long as Christopher Jericho has, it's disrespectful to not take his advice. I mean, what are you going to do? Like, you know, if you turn down his advice, you never know. You might force Christopher Jericho to eat some muffins or something during a scrum. You never know what's going to happen. But I thought this was great.
Very well said, Mind Runner. And you're right. You're spot on. I mean, people should be paying Jericho for this sound advice that he's been giving all these people. Man, this guy is a seasoned vet with just lifetimes of knowledge and things that he can share. And for him to be the learning tree and for us to be in the vortex of Jericho, we are in true honor, a living legend, you know, in real time. I'm excited for TV time next week. I can't wait to see what's in store. I mean, obviously we have a couple of potential feuds that are going to be mixed in there we're going to see some wrestling, but the learning experience has been so spot on. And, you know, it's interesting reading some of the stuff online that I couldn't disagree with more. Like, so many people do not like this, but man, I think it's getting better and better. It's getting better and better every week.
I think the fact that they dislike it proves it's working. Because I mean, it's a heel. It's a heel. It's designed to be a heel, but I think there's more people that are enjoying this. You know, some of the diehards are not liking it, but I think, and you know, there's a lot of people that are still. They've made up their mind that they're going to hate Chris Jericho, and he's not a perfect person, but he is who he is. There's so much to love about this, though, and to answer Raz's theory question, I don't think it's TK he's channeling. I do think the Young Bucks are doing like an exaggerated. They're using some of TK's things, but in a sarcastic way. Yeah. I think Chris Jericho is channeling another former AEW talent that was upset that people weren't all taking his advice. I'm just going to leave it there. I think you can kind of put two and two together on that one. Right. What I love about the learning tree, though, is it's like he might as well. I don't know if you're familiar with when the new Wonka movie came out in Glasgow, Scotland. They had this guy, this carny that tried to put together the Wonka experience, and he was selling it like a warehouse that was reconstructed to be just like Willy Wonka's chocolate factory. But when you went in, it was like this. It looked like the learning tree in the middle of a warehouse. He had a fake chocolate river. He had so many things that it just, to me, it's such a like, hey, you know, that go away heat that he's, again, Chris Jericho's taking everything. He's twisting. He's reinvented himself again.
Yeah.
And I love that Big Bill is getting to shine too. He's really a great addition to this team. And Brian Keith, this is perfect for Brian Keith as well. I love
You're
it.
right. This is getting better and better. And, you know, when we first were talking about this for the pay-per-view Dynasty about what do we think Jericho could do, or what's next. I did not see this coming, as we never usually do with something like that. He pulls a rabbit out of a hat and makes it work. I'm just eating it up, man. I think this is just pure gold, and I can't wait for next week.
Question I have for you and for the people in the chat is, when the inevitable return of Sammy Guevara, how is he going to fit into this whole equation?
I could totally see Sammy being that Redwood Big Bill cheesiness, kind of being like a guy passing out flyers and cheesy and all that. And so character-wise, I think he has the personality to make it work. However, I feel like Sammy would be more beneficial returning as like a pure wrestler. I mean, yes, given in the promos and stuff, but like you have like the crop of the Garcias, now the returning of Yuta, then you have Ospreay. And so like, if you throw in like this comedic stuff, I think he won't be taken as seriously as a wrestler. I want to see him be pushed as like a Garcia push, personally.
We tried to fantasy book, and we kind of threw a steak dinner in the middle of, instead, I want to say a monkey wrench, but a steak dinner into the machine when they booked Swerve versus Ospreay for Forbidden Door. I mean, that's incredible. I want to see that Ospreay versus Sammy Guevara match. I think that would be tremendous. We're going to get another Dream Ospreay match this coming Wednesday. But
no, wait to talk about that.
I do think that I would love to see what if Sammy does get involved with the Jericho learning tree in any way. I could see him being kind of a, lack of a better term, Judas in the learning tree, where he joins, but really it's more to kind of, I don't know where they're gonna put Sammy in that whole thing. Would be interesting to see. I love Bobby agrees with me. You should go after Will Ospreay. I think that would be great.
So many great moments from last night.
Yeah,
but I mean, I'm gonna talk about one more, and then I'll let you pick something.
No,
but I gotta say, man, as soon as they announced this match and the participants, this is the first thing that came to mind, and it's like giving me a Christmas present in June. Like I've said this for the longest time. Like Rey Fénix is my favorite wrestler in AEW. Whether it be a tag team match or a singles match, this guy is just absolutely incredible. And for him to go toe-to-toe on free TV with Will Ospreay, former champ versus current champ, is just going to be mind-blowing. I thought I was excited and just absolutely head over heels for Danielson and Ospreay at the pay-per-view Dynasty. That's when I was like, I got to go. I have to see this live. And this, I'm equally as excited, because these guys are just going to do just some insane synchronization and amazing moves. It's a total different style. I think this style will fit more. I mean, Ospreay has like so many different layers. He's got that grappling style, and he's got the flip in high spot style. So you have a more style match geared to that with Fénix, where he can adapt more. But man, getting this match next week is literally like a headline moment for me in AEW, and just one of these marquee things that I could not appreciate more as a fan, because both these guys are absolutely incredible and I love it. And man, I cannot wait to see Rey Fénix go toe-to-toe with Ospreay, my favorite wrestler in AEW, Rey Fénix. Great to see Justin Roberts bringing back the typical Fénix. I want to see some if this has to be the main event.
Oh, it's got to be. It's what everybody wants to see. If it's not the main event, it needs to be the first match.
Yes.
If it's not the main event, because this is insane. Full Tilt Deb and I are watching, and then of course Orange Cassidy comes out. we're thinking, okay, so it's going to be Orange Cassidy winning. They're going to bring in some guys, Brian Cage. I love Brian Cage, but I was like, well, I'd like Brian Cage to win, but then, it's probably going to be Orange Cassidy. Then they announced Ray Phoenix, and it was like, and you and I were going back and forth on text. We're like,
you mean Kyle O'Reilly?
Yeah, Kyle O'Reilly came out, but then when it was Ray Phoenix, we're like, oh, that's the match we want. But I still had my heart. I still had my gut that Orange Cassidy was going to win. And then when Ray Phoenix won, like we made our neighbors mad because we screamed. And this is the kind of stuff that I love about AEW. This is what got me into AEW in the first place. These kind of surprises, and you just know. Because Ospreay can cook, Ray Phoenix, and like this is one of those dream matches that could be on a pay-per-view, but we're getting it on Wednesday for free.
I can't believe this is on free TV. This is just I'm more excited about this match than anything, honestly, man. I'm almost like a loss for words, but when this happened, I was just like, man, this should be getting more of a build. This should be getting more of a hype because these guys are just going to absolutely dominate and deliver. What segment do you want to talk about? Because this is a loaded show.
Okay,
I want to run through as many as possible because
we got to talk about the women's match, and we got to talk about.
I mean, I could have assumed that.
Well, I mean, I am a big women's wrestling fan, but
which is great.
I love the elevation that the women's division is getting. It's not perfect. There's still some talent that I feel needs more showcase.
Mm-hmm.
But given the characters involved and the storylines involved, I feel like the outcome was perfect. The wrestling was great. It was good to see Saraya really do, like in her own words, be more than ring candy or be a valet. She was in the ring and she took some serious bumps. And knowing her history, there were a couple moments there where, she really could have re-injured herself, but she did great. Mariah May is tremendous. I know the chat, Raz and everybody were talking about Mariah May. She has quickly become one of my favorite female wrestlers of all time. Not just because, she's not bad to look at, of course, but she's athletic, but she also understands ring psychology. She understands how to sell. Her facial expressions speak volumes, and the story and putting her, when they first put her with Toni Storm, I was like, what are they doing? I love this dynamic. And now with Mina Shirakawa is facing Toni Storm, and it's going to be almost like this battle for custody over Mariah. But I think the decision was right to have Saraya beat Mariah in this. Somebody, I think you and I were looking at it was on Twitter, we're talking about how, Mariah May losing to Saraya, and they were curious about what this does. I think it legitimizes the outcasts a little bit. They needed to get this win, or they're going to be nothing more than like they're going to be Dark Order level. I mean, I think at this point she needed to get the win. This is going to perpetuate their camp, but also perpetuates the story with Mariah is that, Toni Storm, Mariah helps Toni Storm win, but Toni Storm doesn't help Mariah win, and there's that whole dynamic there that's going through, and it's going to inevitably build up to some kind of blow up. Whether AEW considers bringing Mina into AEW more, I think that would be great. Hashtag we want Mina. But she could start a new Club Venus, and but this by far was the best women's match. Best women's match that I've seen. This is where the best wrestle. The best wrestle. To use Toni Storm's parlance.
I don't know if the announcers caught on that the first time. Do you think they did?
Taz did.
Okay. I don't know if Excalibur did.
She got Taz flustered. That was hilarious. Like, well, it's yeah. I think you kind of got it right there.
Right.
She had me laughing with stuff like kick her tits in and stuff like that. It's Toni Storm's a gem. Mina's great. What a great way to introduce a talent from New Japan and just this whole storyline. And again, and the Tony Khan, I think one of Tony Khan's best assets can also be a flaw, but I think it also makes him great at what he does. Is he has such a knowledge of wrestling around the globe. I think sometimes he forgets not everybody does. Most people don't know, but this was one of bringing in Mina the way that they did and playing off of the whole Club Venus history that she has with Mariah and this whole history with Tony Storm. I think that's brilliant. I think that's a great. This whole match was tying in a lot of storyline into one match, and the match itself was great. Saraya showed up to work. I'm a Harley Cameron fan as well. The whole thing was great. I love we need more women's matches like this.
Sure.
But I felt like if this was going to be the only women's match, they knocked it out of the park.
I was very surprised I like the way the booking was at the end of this match. And it wasn't like a cheesy win. Like she legit was looking to her, essentially like looking to her mom and mentor for help. Like, what do I do? I'm trapped. Like the submission hold that Saraya had was fantastic. And I feel like the way it panned out. And I think
I like the term you use, mom, by the way, too. I like that. No, that makes really good. It's a good analogy.
The win for Saraya helped her out so much more, even though, as I've spoke about before, Mariah was undefeated for the longest time and really going on a tear and a really good push, and she's still on that. However, given the landscape of this intertwined storyline, I think it's important to establish Saraya as a more legitimate wrestler in the moment. She was 2-9 as a recent record. I like the pairing with her brother coming out, Zach Knight, looking like a complete badass. That's another wild card there.
He stepped straight out of a Guy Ritchie movie.
So overall, I think this was a great segment, and we're at Dynamite. As being podcasters, we do kind of overanalyze certain aspects of matches, and there is certain things. And being tied into the social community, there are some of those people who posted that I sent you. I think it was Drainmaker or someone about how every one of Tony's friends, or what was I saying you about? Someone won and then Mariah lost to every one of Tony's friends or something like that. I got to look for it, but it's almost it's not a two-way street. Tony hasn't helped Mariah. Mariah's helped Tony.
Yeah.
So at one point is she going to have a breaking point, or she's just going to, crawl back to her mommy or her mentor or anything like that. So we'll see how that turns out.
Good stuff. It's good stuff. Love every minute of it.
So the way we kicked off Dynamite, MJF returning after his surprise re-debut at Double or Nothing to kick Adam Cole in the Bebes right away. Oh, here we go.
Hold on. All right, you may proceed.
Hold on, we have to pause for a quick endorsement. Okay, there's our endorsement. But man, MJF returning to Dynamite was quite a shocker. I having to digest this promo right away. I was just like, boom, mic drop, boom, boom, haymaker, haymaker, haymaker. The promo aspect, let's talk about that before we dive into the Roosh aspect.
Yes.
Which I'm a big fan of. We're big fans of that. But the promo aspect, at first listen, I'm like pumped up and excited. He's calling out the locker room. He's, essentially stirring the pot in typical MJF fashion, as he should. That's where he does best, and that's what really makes him shine. Crayfish kind of enlightened me a little bit. I know he's not necessarily, surprisingly, team heel Crayfish. Now that MJF's seen babyface, he's not a fan of MJF. But that being said, I'm all in for this MJF return, heel or babyface, because I think that level of edginess is needed and missed and welcomed. And for him to be back is huge and crucial and worth every penny, in my opinion. So great being back. That being said, going after three of the top guys, 2 recent signings, and your world champ, I don't think, yes, they're at the top of the totem, but I don't necessarily agree with that move. The way Cray was texting me about it, he's like, I don't like the way you did this. Why are you going after Swerve? I get it, like the world title, but in Ospreay, like, what did you make? Like, how did you feel?
Is he though? Because I don't think he's here's the thing. He's a former champ, and the former champ doesn't come back and say, like, I'm back and now I want to fight Evil Uno. I mean, he doesn't.
True.
You come back and you say, I want my belt back. That's why I'm back here. But that's what he had to say. He had to address those people because otherwise it lessens who he is as a return. He's the former champ. Until he lost to Samoa Joe, he was the champ. They took care of the whole Adam Cole thing, the Family Jewels thing, but like he needed to go there in his promo and put him on notice. It doesn't mean now. It doesn't mean after Forbidden Door he's got a title shot at Swerve or Will. It doesn't mean any of that, but that's what he's gunning for. And Eddie Kingston has a great quote. They always ask, like, what are your plans in AEW? He goes, World Championship. He goes, anybody that's in this business and doesn't say World Championship needs to get out of the business. Right. Because that's what every wrestler should be thinking. That's what every wrestler's ultimate answer should be. Now, granted, behind the scenes, peel back the kayfabe, you want to have put on good matches and you want to elevate others and you want to do what's best for the business. But the title has value from the standpoint of it's a badge of who the company believes can best represent. It is like an employee of the month kind of thing, but I mean it is a big badge of honor. And if MJF came back and didn't call out all of those folks, it takes away from who he is. And the MJF character would immediately assume, hey, I'm coming, Swerve, Will, whoever's got the belt, I'm coming for them. And then introducing and then leading this to build up to this side quest now that he's going to have with Roosh, I think is brilliant. He still needs to be talking trash. He was talking trash before he ever won the championship. Even when he was in feuds with Jericho, his feuds with other people, he still was bad-mouthing Moxley or bad-mouthing Kenny Omega or bad-mouthing Hank Cowboy shit. He was always talking about that because he's in that orbit, and he needs to continue to be in that orbit, even if he's not actually going for it. We may not see an MJF title match the rest of this year, but he's got to be talking about it. And that's just that I'm sorry to take 10 minutes to make a 2-minute point, but that's kind of what I was getting at.
I'm still trying to digest it. Regardless, I think this was a home run segment, which led to, as we kind of touched base on last week, was the possibility of Roosh versus MJF. And, we speak very highly of Roosh. We think this guy is just doing fantastic work all around, complete wrestler, really fun to watch in the ring. And for him to be showcased with MJF as, a top tier is fantastic. And it's great. He deserves it. And it's great for MJF as much as he can be this snooty, a-hole. Yeah. He did a good job of letting us know who Roosh is.
Look at the fan to the right of Roosh. I mean, if that doesn't say it right there.
Right. Too bad it wasn't the granny.
Oh, Granny is all elite. Swerve Granny is fantastic. I did a whole segment on Mission Pro Spotlight with Nair Robles talking about Swerve Granny. You got to go check it out. She's fantastic.
Are you ready for this Roosh MJF battle?
Here's the thing. Until this promo, I was kind of scratching my head going, okay. I wasn't 100% sure that where they were going to go with this because, Roosh coming back and being kind of, we love Roosh, but it was like, has he really proven himself to be in the game against an MJF? And how are they going to promote this? By God, did they promote this? And again, a lot of this is MJF, but a lot of the, Roosh playing the part. And again, Christopher Daniels, tremendous talent, but I love his role I love his role now as this he is this acting GM. I hope they use it right, but they were by the end of this promo battle with them fighting in separation now. The only thing that was missing is we needed the green cable choking out MJF, but this really sold this feud, and I'm all for it now, and I love how even when I'm questioning how they're going to sell something, AEW still finds a way to sell it. to make it interesting. And so I'm all for it.
It's going to be. I'm curious to see MJF in his first match back after we're approaching 6 months. Are they going to save this for Forbidden Door? Possibly. You're going to have a couple week build. I mean, we're right around the corner. We're only 24 days away from Forbidden Door. I guess just let him heal a little bit more. And sorry, I was just looking at someone. Let him heal a little bit more, and I think this would be a nice marquee match for returning from injury in his hometown, the greatest place on earth, Long Island, New York.
Long Island, New York.
So I'm excited for it. I think, as I mentioned last week, I want them to continue pushing the gas pedal on someone like MJF, who is so captivating. Even if he does promos or just things like little backstage stuff, is just being on the show, I think is needed. Even if he doesn't wrestle until Forbidden Door, the hot and cold is always, to me, it's hard. It's hard to be. It's hard to be as a fan. Like the Adam Cole thing was just so frustrating. I've given up I've given up right now. I've tried to be patient. But I don't want MJF to be off TV till the week before Forbidden Door. I want him to be featured. Maybe, throw him in a squash match and just being like, Daddy's back, whatever it may be. But this is something I, was kind of squandering around social and really was getting my head scratched. And I thought this was pretty fiery promo. And then very interesting because it wasn't what I would have predicted for the All-In main event. Could we finally see this?
Yeah.
My guy, Danielson. I know what the Mindrunner household feels like, but after that promo last night, and after what we know, kayfabe aside, of he's telling us all this is the last full-time time, and he's been coming up so short. What do you think you could see it happening?
Well, that was an interesting promo. Of course, Full Deb, doesn't want this to happen ever. But it might be one of those things where maybe Bryan Danielson can make a deal with Deb that let him win the title and then he'll leave. But that's just him. Now, for the record, I don't dislike Bryan Danielson. I liked and off. Outside of the ring, I really admire the guy. I think he does a lot of great stuff behind the scenes. He's inspirational. I acknowledge his ability. I acknowledge his popularity. In what I like out of wrestling, his style doesn't pop me as much as like a Ray Phoenix or a Will Ospreay. That's to me, that's just a personal thing. I don't mind him as much, but Deb and Nigel probably feel the same way about Bryan Danielson as they do, the clam digger. But
right.
I think what's interesting about this is Bryan Danielson has been very explicit that he's looking to semi-retire. Right. I think he's, like you said, he's still going to be involved with AEW in a much more backstage and training capacity, but he really is looking to get out. But how just like Sting got to have his retirement match the way he wanted, I think that's important. TK, and I think a lot of AEW, that's what they want, and that's at the core of what AEW has been. And we could argue that in some areas it may have lost its way, but at the core of AEW is valuing the wrestlers and these legends and letting them leave on their own terms the way that they want. And like if Bryan Danielson wants to retire, this is the one thing he hasn't accomplished in AEW.
Right.
And this
no championships at all, which is insane to think.
Now, my question is and this could be the reason why they expedited Swerve versus Will.
Exactly. Good point.
Because maybe they're seeing either of those gentlemen being his opponent at All In, and that would be a tremendous. But either one of those would be tremendous, and I think either one of those would put on a great match. So the question is, who does Bryan Danielson want to go out on? Does he want to?
Yeah.
Does he want his last match to be with Swerve or with Will Ospreay?
Well, this necessarily wouldn't be the last match, I don't think, but
or his last match of his full active roster. You know, I'm sure let's be honest, Ric Flair had a heart attack in his last match, and he still wants to wrestle. So
right. I really was one of those moments like, oh, okay. Like, you know, a few weeks ago, we picked our all-in kind of fantasy card, and this definitely wasn't on our booking minds. You know, that's why we're fans and we're not bookers. But this would be a fantastic match. This would be absolutely incredible. I would love the storyline because it's another one of those, you know, fighting your way to get the shot. And I really do like the idea of the tournament winner making a tournament more meaningful, getting that main event shot. It's like you're winning the Royal Rumble, the main event WrestleMania, just to put in perspective like that. Like, you know, which I think is one of the coolest accolade things to do. So to win the Owen Hart Cup tournament, to make that tournament that much more meaningful, you know, when the tournament came, great cause, great everything, great wrestling. However, the result of another belt on TV and another just like I'm the winner, just saying that, you know, it's cool, but that was it. Like to have it another level stipulation bonus of you're getting this title shot is really at the biggest pay-per-view of the year is really significant. And I'm all for it.
I'm all for it too. I didn't catch, did they say the same and for the women's title too?
Both.
So we could see a certain hater that hits hard return for the Owen Hart tournament, or could we see a Nightingale be a two-time? I mean, she's already won the Owen Hart. I mean,
true.
Do we want to have her win again? Could it be somebody else? Could, you know, there's a lot to play with that as well. So, but yeah, I think that's an interest. I think that Bryan Danielson being in the main event at All In, whether it's with Swerve or Will Ospreay, will increase sales. So it will make it will make it popular, and I think that's going to be interesting. And I like what you said. It's got a WrestleMania feel to it now. You know, it's like, you know, they might as well put a Wembley sign and just where people point at.
I would be all for that. As copyright infringement as possible that is, I think that's a cool thing to do. It gives it's a marquee moment to be able to perform in front of that many fans. Like, go for it. You know, I forgot what I was going to say, but switching things to the EVPs. I've been calling it, man, every single week. Give me stuff like this. And they're doing it. They're doing it. They're listening to Dynamite Download. They're listening to Mindrunner SPD, cutting off someone's segment because they just want to cut the segment and abusing their powers. And doing this kind of over the top cheesiness was just great. I mean, between the Jericho learning tree, the Young Bucks stuff, MJF's promo, and man, last night was hitting on all cylinders for me. And this was just kind of like the cherry on top, seeing the Young Bucks act like this to the Acclaimed and abusing their powers like that. Really great stuff.
First of all, if you told me 5 years ago that we're going to get a face-off between Okada and Billy Gunn, I would have said you're crazy.
Right.
But we're going to get, I'm sure at some point, we're going to get Okada and Billy Gunn face to face.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's what I think they're partly building up to. Again, the reinvention of the Young Bucks, they're another, like in the Jericho vein, that they constantly reinvent themselves. And this whole EVP gimmick is tremendous.
Right.
I also like that this is definitely giving the Acclaimed it's giving them something besides just idling, you know, for while they're doing this. And this, I think, hopefully this will lead to a tag team, you know, for the titles. But I love, like you said, cutting off the rap, cutting off everything. It makes me so excited. It's almost makes me excited for whenever we get a super chat party.
Hey-o!
And since we are talking about the Bucks, I think we need to go with the
how ironic.
How ironic, don't you think? Oh, do we have it? I've got a different one loaded actually. Let's go with this one.
By God, it's a super chat party.
All right, and super chat party. Boo!
That one was a little hard.
That's all good. Now, yeah, you might have to stretch out, put a little ice on the crotch there afterwards. But
No, on the computer.
oh, awesome. Well, yeah, I'm all for this. I'm all for this feud at the end, and the Bucks are great. And it's interesting. Okay, here's another thing though too, is we did see a continuing working relationship between the EVPs and the patriarchy.
Right.
So could we also see the Acclaimed versus the patriarchy?
Yeah, I think that could be a start.
Yep. I think we've got some
what
potential
gold
for
do you
that.
think they're going to go after? Because Christian Cage is looking for gold. Does he want to be in the tournament as well? And then you kind of have some turmoil between Jack Perry and Christian Cage, which we don't know anyone else other than Briscoe and Takeshita being announced.
No, I think Christian Cage. I think Christian Cage enters the Owen Hart tournament.
Okay.
And I think that he becomes their guy.
That's a
where
good
Bryan
point.
Danielson is the yes AEW
Christian
guy.
Cage versus Danielson in the finals.
Yes.
Oh, all right. I like it.
I think that's
Sign
where
me
we're heading.
up. Ooh, interesting. Okay. Well, I think they said July 10th kicks off that.
Yeah.
So we'll find out soon. But I want to talk about the main event as we're starting to wind down a little bit. Big night for us tomorrow. We have that draft, season 3. Lots of fun. We're going to be picking 12 players for our teams, and then we're going to add a bonus 3 after Forbidden Door. I think that will be it. Or
we'll do Forbidden Door, Forbidden Door. We'll just do that. Yeah.
Yeah, since it's the next pay-per-view. So after Forbidden Door, they'll give us a couple weeks to cook, and then you can add those bonus 3. But Swerve Strickland, Roderick Strong, I got to say, man, the Roddy Strong promo game has really been top-notch lately. This guy has been telling so many great stories, everything from the Ospreay match to this promo last night on, going at the top of the mountain. But this guy has been just really on fire overall the last 6 to 8 months, and it's been a lot of fun. Someone who has not known about him or followed him much before AEW, to really see him get the spotlight to shine in and out of the ring, or in and out of the wheelchair, or in and out of the neck brace, has been a lot of fun. And I think this was a match, a deserved match. I know he kind of put Tony Khan on the spot, fellow neck injury survivor, neck awareness promoter.
Yeah.
But Swerve, man, this guy is our workhorse champ. This is him. I mean, he's going to probably at the end of his run have the most title defenses, and I love it, man. The guy is just a number one ambassador to AEW, to the World Championship, and really solidifying him as one of the best world champs that AEW has ever had. So both in and out of the ring. So we know whose house it is, and it's going to continue to be that way. And man, for the people, someone who's been so ruthless to be such a great baby face, man, it's nice to see. And I guess you can kind of play that same note with MJF, someone so ruthless to someone so over as a babyface as MJF was and is.
Yeah. And first of all, you know how I feel about Swerve. I just showed you. I mean, this is how we feel about Swerve in this house.
Of course.
Whose house? Swerve's house. We might have to create a new segment. That's not a hot take. It's called Mind Runner's Nitpick, because it's has
to be a positive nitpick.
Well, here's the thing. It's in the nature of, I love AEW, and 97% of the stuff that they do, I think is fantastic. I'm all in for it. It's that little bit of, and all it is just, I think that the way that this match came about seemed a little bit off, because Will Ospreay had to go through that gauntlet. They were clear about the rules. He won. And then
Yeah.
Roderick Strong just goes and he's a Karen. And then, he goes in and just complains. And there's Christopher Daniels standing right next to Tony Khan. Chris Daniels could have said, no, kick rocks. But
Right.
Tony Khan said, yes. Now, if there's going to be an angle there, maybe. What I would have liked to have seen is Tony Khan say, well, why don't you go ask Swerve? And if Swerve agrees to it, and then that you give an opportunity for Swerve to say, you know what, Roderick, I think you need to go, but I'm going to be a fighting champion, and let's see what you got. And even if this was an eliminator match, you could have still, this could have still been something where you had some meat on the bone. And you could have even had Roderick Strong win his eliminator match, then get his actual title match against Swerve down the line before Forbidden Door and lose. But at least I felt like this seemed like we have to book Swerve against somebody, so we're just going to have Roderick complain. And I think there should have been a little more nuance to it and made it Swerve's decision. They're like, no, all right, no. I know TK said you have to get in line, but I'm going to go ahead and give you this title match, blah, blah, blah. I have it in my contract or something.
Right.
You just do something like that. Having said that, I mean, I'm not going to complain about a steak dinner. You're putting Roderick Strong against Swerve Strickland. Come on, that's fantastic. And you and I have talked offline about the sadness of what could have been. There's a multiverse, there's an alternate universe where the Undisputed Kingdom was this dominant faction. It was like, just running roughshod all over AEW. But, hope Wardlow heals up very fast, and I hope Adam Cole gets healthy. Heart goes out to both of them. But that faction has really been snake bit. Having said that, that could have also been the best thing for Roderick Strong, because now he's kind of the de facto leader, and Taven and Bennett have really been carrying the weight as these flunkies. I mean, I say it in the positive aspect is they've really embraced this group as such a positive, as such a great heel group. And I almost feel like whatever storyline they had with Adam Cole and Wardlow, and it's almost making, their absence is actually helping Roderick get a lot more face time. And I think, it's if he can get more TV time like this, people will continue to see this guy, see the talent for who he is. Plus the mustache, where he looks like my old wrestling coach. I mean, it's perfect. I think it's great.
He's got a quality stash. Got to give it to him, man. Very good stash. It's a good look. Got to respect him for the mustache. But I think these three should just be on their own. Like, I don't think the UK is necessarily needed, even because of the turmoil and the ups and downs that they went. These three guys have been the backbone of the UK, and they should kind of just be, left to their own demise, and continue to dominate whatever they do. I don't, because of the hot and cold, I think it's almost confusing as fans. I would rather have Wardlow himself be the lone wolf that he is, not have MJF steal his wolf gimmick and his lone wolf gimmick.
Well, hey, Baron Corbin's the lone wolf. Let's be honest.
Yeah, whatever. I mean, that guy's. But I think the Swerve is just top notch, and he's just doing such great stuff with the championship. Real quick on that MJF thing, if you're plugged into social, there is some stuff, maybe I tagged Wardlow in that t-shirt design that was posted on there, and I said, isn't our guy Wardlow the lone wolf? And then shortly after that, Wardlow had a nice long tweet calling out MJF. So maybe he didn't see that yet, and then he was triggered by the notification that Dynamite Download saw and tagged him in, which got a lot of traction. A lot of people were liking it and commented on it. So we'll see where that goes. And now all of a sudden, MJF's fiance or girlfriend Alicia is back she is back in AEW, which she's good, and I'm happy for her. But is there some kind of blank slate of paper, bow down to our king MJF, whatever he wants, we're going to give him. We're stealing gimmicks, we're stealing jobs, we're giving spotlights. What's it going to be? Are you really going to bend over that much backwards for him? TK, are you?
Oh.
Maybe he is, maybe he isn't. I don't know.
Yeah, look at the SBD throwing a little dirt sheet out there. I don't know what's going on.
I don't know.
I've always liked a Toot. She's and when
I think she's really good.
Yeah, she is really good. I mean, yeah, maybe it's in his contract, like, and you must hire Alicia Toot.
I would do the same thing to be closer to my significant.
Exactly. I mean, and you never know. Buddy Matthews might, when he renegotiates, he might put something about his significant other jumping over to WWE. Boy, that would be something.
It's always easier.
My comment though, real quick to close out on the UK thing is, I understand because there's not a whole lot. Nobody is watching. No, not as many people are watching Ring of Honor as Dynamite and Collision and AEW stuff. But the Taven and Bennett are the Ring of Honor tag team champions.
Right.
They should be on Ring of Honor a lot more. And Roddy needs to go after the Ring of Honor championship.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that would actually be a more compelling, have him and Briscoe go at it. And I think that would be a much more compelling thing. And as much as I love Briscoe in this ladder match, it's like it's not frustrating, but it's like whenever there's a Ring of Honor champion competing for a belt or something else in AEW, yeah, I understand why they do it, but to me, it's like that's taking a spot away from somebody that isn't
right.
That you already have a championship. It's almost it's doing two things. One, it's taking a spot away from somebody else that doesn't have a championship, and two, you're lessening the Ring of Honor championship.
Right.
Ring of Honor is never going to be taken as seriously as it should if you're constant. Like if Athena wrestles Mercedes Moné for the TBS title or goes after Toni Storm as the Ring of Honor Women's Champion, it takes away from the Women's Champion, which is why I like how Mercedes Moné versus Stephanie Vacour, it's going to be title for title. They're not lessening either title. So I wish they elevated Ring of Honor more with that and opened some opportunities. But again, you're going to offer me a steak dinner. You're going to offer me Roderick Strong versus Swerve. You're going to offer me these matches. I'm not going to turn it down. I'm going to enjoy it. I'm going to nitpick, but I'm going to enjoy it.
No nitpicking. We appreciate everything.
Yes.
But speaking of nitpicking, let's talk about a little fashion advice as we wrap things up. I want to see Mind Runner with these Takesha's pants, Samoa Joe's shirt, and Daddy Magic's fanny pack.
Yes. Hey, maybe what we need to do is a little maybe put a little side bet here. If like whoever has the most points by Forbidden Door, the winner gets to pick the loser's outfit for the next show. All right.
Oh gosh. We'll think about something. I mean, Forbidden Door is too soon.
This would be a gentleman bet between you and me.
Okay.
Courtney may be kicking all of our asses, but if you and I, whoever has more points,
maybe by August 1st, it'll let us cook a little. Forbidden Doors in 24 days, something like that.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I think that I'm fine with that.
They'll give me time to send you a banana suit or something.
Oh gosh, a Borat Speedo.
Oh, very nice.
You guys, tomorrow night, join us. This is going to be great. Can't wait for this. Love this graphic. Tomorrow night, join us 10 o'clock here and Dynamite Download on our channel for the draft season 3. We can't wait to kick things off. To be honest, this is a lot of fun. I mean, we did this. Crayfish and I and Mons did this a year or so ago, but this just keeps me more involved, even though I'm already all in. But it just gets me more excited about my teammates wrestling. So it's a lot of fun. Just adds that level of fandom to being a part of something like this draft and your fantasy bookings and all that stuff. So, and I get excited. I'm like, oh, what's the match card going to be like? Okay, so I have possible 3 points this week. I got possible 1 point this week or whatever it might be. So it's like trying to make up ground. So it's always a great fun. It's always a great time. A lot of great fun. We look forward to it. So hopefully y'all join us. If you're not going to be part of the draft, join us in the chat and have some fun with us. And we will see you all tomorrow for Friday Night Flights and Fights for our fantasy draft season 3.